the big benefit now is that you don't need to work as hard building a following. You just need to work on your content, put it out there, and you'll be surprised. Let the algorithm do the hard work. You can help it in ways. Put that content out there. It'll get on the feeds of the people you want to see. And so that right there, knowing that kind of high level distinction in what's happening on the social media landscape is really going to let you take advantage of it.
You're listening to Customer Growth Sessions presented by Intergrowth, where we talk through strategies to help up-and-coming e-commerce businesses bring in more customers. I'm your host, Pat Ahern. Let's jump in.
All right, listeners, welcome back to the latest episode of Customer Growth Sessions. Today, I'm thrilled to have on a friend, David Casey, the founding partner over at Vix. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Pat, thanks so much. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be on, have a chat with you.
Definitely. So let's start out. Tell us, what is Vix Media? What do you guys do over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot at Vix Media Group, everything under the sun, I like to say. Technically, we're a full stack agency, but to break it down in bite-sized pieces, we kind of do everything in technology, marketing, and production that's required to grow your business. Whether that's paid ads, SEO, social media, new website, of course, often goes with all of it. Analytics, press, growth hacking, you name it. That's Vix Media Group.
So a lot of things you can obviously do to help businesses grow. But one of the things I've been so captivated by is all the different talks you and I have had, like pre-recording today, specifically about TikTok. So today I want to spend a lot of time diving into TikTok, both organic content posting and then paid promotion for TikTok as well. Let's start out with the first question, though. Why should businesses actually be using TikTok?
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. To answer this, I'll backtrack a little bit. I think a lot of people hear social media and they think Facebook or Instagram, even Twitter, kind of the mindset of you're just posting online to your followers. And that kind of used to be true. It's totally changed now across the landscape because we're shifting from a feed or a timeline-based social media platform to an algorithm-based one. So that's the big thing you need to understand. And that's why people need to now actually pay attention to TikTok, because they're the ones that kind of push this short form vertical video algorithmic feed platform out in the first place. So with that, you need to be taking advantage of it, right? Because we're seeing all the other social medias just copy this structure. There's benefits and downsides, right? But the big benefit now is that you don't need to work as hard building a following. You just need to work on your content, put it out there, and you'll be surprised. Let the algorithm do the hard work. You can help it in ways we'll talk about, but put that content out there. It'll get on the feeds of the people you want to see. And so that right there, knowing that kind of high level distinction in what's happening on the social media landscape is really going to let you take advantage of it. TikTok's not going anywhere, hypothetically. It may or may not. We don't know. I don't think it will. But even if it doesn't, the technology, this algorithmic feed is now the new standard, right? So to kind of answer your question, the long path, right, is let's take advantage of this, put your content out on a platform that's going to get it in front of as many people that want to use your business or want to use your services as possible, and then grow it from there, start building the community.
Yeah, and to your point, I know there's a lot of talk in the US that TikTok is going to cease to exist in the US. I kind of feel like it's gotten to be too big at this point for US bureaucracy to say, hey, we're just not going to allow this anymore. It seems like that would make for a lot of angry teenagers if a couple politicians were to ban TikTok. I feel like no one wants to put their name on that bill.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I don't want to get too political on the bond. I think, like I said, it's a little too big to fail. I think at some point it'll hold a stop or get bought out or whatever. But yeah, point being that what TikTok did, bringing that algorithm first kind of mentality is huge. It changed everything, right? In a lot of different ways. So I think that's the kind of big takeaway is like, hey, TikTok's here now. The algorithm's different. Let's start learning how we can take advantage of it.
So I see the appeal undoubtedly for someone that's operating the B2C space, especially someone who maybe is in like consumer goods, someone who's in, let's say, like the fashion space. What are your thoughts on TikTok for B2B? Specifically, let's say like the quote unquote boring industries, you know, construction and medical technology, things of the sort that maybe your everyday consumer isn't going to be consuming. Is there still an angle there for TikTok for those businesses?
I think there's actually even more of an angle. And so, like you said, it's black and white products and services. You can sell those on any platform almost, TikTok especially. We can talk about that later and how you can amplify that. Services too, though, right? You got to remember so many people are on TikTok of all ages and demographics. It's not just kids dancing. They're on there for sure. You want to look at that. But then there's actual real people. And what they're intending to find on TikTok will find them. So you will be surprised. I'm telling you, let's take the example of a plumber, right? That's not a very glorious social media. There's not a whole lot of viral potential there, but I guarantee if you shift your approach from the mindset of what social media used to be, posting photos of your services, just static imagery or infographics, and you shift that and you turn the camera around and you record yourself walking into a house, fixing a common problem, showing how you do it, the nitty gritty, maybe adding in some light humor in there, and then putting that out on social media and telling you the algorithm is going to do its thing. It's going to put it in front of people that need those services that are in the similar area. And of course, you can fine tune your posts how you want with the right locations and other things and keywords. But doing that over and over and over again, it will work. And we've seen it work drastically. I know I'm ranting here, but on both these sides, the product side and the services side, you can amplify both of these so much by adding a little bit of ad budget. And we can kind of talk about that later, but I've seen it time and time again. We've done it for service clients. And the main takeaway here is that you need to basically flip the camera around. You as the owner of the business need to be proud in what you're doing, confident in what you're speaking about. You need to let people know how you're doing it, show them all the pain points, how you overcome them. And that will resonate. If they don't see your video, they're just gonna, nobody does this anymore, but they're gonna open up the yellow pages and just call AAA plumbing, right? But if they see you and they realize they're gonna have this awesome experience, or at least deal with a human being, that's what people are looking for. So service-based, put your face out there, show what you're doing. All of us have moments when we're dealing with our clients that like the client laughs or there's some like little situation that happens that's funny and relatable. Put that situation online and just let it rip. Do it every day. It'll work, I promise.
Struggling to get new customers? We're here to help. Hey, this is Pat, the host of Customer Growth Sessions. Our agency, Intergrowth, has been helping e-commerce brands like Bella Bridesmaids, Brevity, and JS Dental to get more customers online since 2016. Interested in seeing how we'd help you? Head over to intergrowth.com/CGS to book a complimentary consultation with me. That's intergrowth.com/CGS. All right, back to the show. Wow, I love that. I want to talk about ad budgets in just a minute, but on the note of creating TikTok content, what are your views on the necessity of editing those clips? Let's say with that plumber that you had mentioned, they turn the camera around, they film themselves speaking through this like very complex issue that they're solving with grace. They put that together, I'd say it's a 2-minute clip. Should they be taking the time to edit it? Do they need to hire a professional editor? How would you recommend that they approach that? Maybe at early stages, let's say, when they're just dipping their toes in the water.
Yeah, I was going to say, so of course, as an agency owner, I mean, you should hire us, right? We're doing a great job editing your clips. But no, in all seriousness, man, this question makes me think of that picture of all the technology in the 80s. And then now the comparison is it's all on your phone. It's like 100 different things. It's all on your phone. Kind of the same things happening with production. There's really no excuse. If you don't have the money to hire someone or pay your kid to do it, some cheap labor or something like that, you can download the CapCut app that TikTok made. It's so easy a caveman could do it. I mean, you can clip down that 2-minute video you made. You can use templates. You can do all sorts of stuff. It's formatted perfectly for TikTok. That is a surefire way to get pretty decent production level quality, chop it up in a quick format where it's not going to bore your viewer, and then throw that up on TikTok. TikTok likes it because it's CapCut. It's their app. And it's kind of the standard. Tons of social media agencies just kind of use that now. You don't necessarily need a $3,000 camera with a $4,000 lens and a microphone. And then you don't need to send that to the studio to take a week to chop it up. You can once you get to that level, and it'll pay off in different ways. The quality is unbeatable, of course, but for the sake of this business owner we're talking about in this example, right? This small to medium sized plumber, let's say, just use CapCut. That's my advice. There's a lot of other tools too on the phone. Make it so easy. Drop your video in, add some styling, clip some parts you don't like, and then boom, you're good.
So let's talk a little about advertising. Let's say we've created 10 videos. We're getting ready. We're going to schedule them out to our TikTok channel. Talk to me about advertising a little bit. Let's say I'm going into it and I say, hey, I can put $500 into promoting these videos. That'll kind of be like my trial budget. Walk me through that. How would you recommend that I allocate that budget? Should I put it all into one video? And then also, how do I physically roll out those ads for best performance?
Ads are a huge part of this. There's a ton of promise to grow organically on TikTok, which you should do right off the bat. Just get the ball rolling. If you want to amplify that, TikTok is the place to do it, even more so than like your Meta and your YouTube or LinkedIn for most businesses, I would say. So whenever you're thinking about your budget, we have direct word from our reps that the minimum you should be spending per day for an e-commerce product is $50. And so this is what our reps are telling us. Our reps who work at TikTok, they're saying if you can't spend $50 a day on promoting an e-commerce product, the algorithm's not even going to have enough data or information to even work properly. So that is the bare minimum that they suggest. And if you have for less than that, you can try and get it done for less than that. And if you have maybe a monster list of past customers or some sort of like data set that you can leverage, you might be able to get it going. But in our experience, this holds true. We've had clients that wanted to start maybe spending $20, $30 a day, and we didn't really see things. We amped it up right away. Things started to work. So this is something TikTok tells us that actually seems to hold true. It varies a little bit more for service-based businesses, though. So you're going to have to find that sweet spot. But anything under $50, I would say hold that money off. Don't spend it yet on TikTok until you can afford to do that over the period of a month or two. And until you can, maybe put that content or put that money back into your content. So once you do have the ability to spend a minimum of $50 a day, for TikTok specifically, you should do what they call spark posting. And so this is where you can take advantage of the ad budget boosting your engagement on your page. So spark posting, you post a video and then like boosting a post on Instagram, you can spark post it. And then all the engagement that comes from that ad is going to be visible on your page on that post. So it's a real good way to inflate your engagement, might be the wrong phrase. It's a good way to boost your engagement with people from the ads. And then that's visible on your page as well. TikTok always recommends doing that. You can do lots of other stuff too. They do really good retargeting campaigns, and there's different types of ads you can run, like ads in the shop versus ads on the feed, so on and so forth. But the biggest thing about the budget, I would say, is hitting those minimums. They like to recommend that you spend 100, but they told us 50 is the minimum for things to start working. So that's kind of the quick take on how their ad platforms work, unless you have anything a little bit more specific for me on that.
That's a great overview. So I love that. So it sounds like overarching feedback, put $50+ a day into it, or maybe don't bother with TikTok ads for the time being. As far as spark posting goes, let's talk about that a little more. So let's say that I've been running a TikTok channel for 6 months. There are 20 videos that are on there. I post 4 videos a month, 3 videos a month. With spark posting, am I going to see the best results if I put that ad budget into it like seconds after that post goes live? Or if I take that video that I posted 6 months ago and say, hey, I'm going to put $100 ad budget into this video 6 months later, is that still an effective approach that I could take?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Okay, so the lifespan of a post is kind of interesting on TikTok because in our experience, it changes whether ads are behind it versus if they aren't. And I'll kind of paint the picture. So we've had clients that can post a video, and then 3 months later, we can post that exact same video and it does just as good, if not maybe even a little bit better than the previous time. It's the exact same video. And this is because it's that algorithm feed we're talking about. So you can get away with stuff like that organically, and it'll show up to different users on the feed who haven't seen it, but are like the ones who did. And that's very, very cool. You can That's awesome. If you can recycle your content that you worked hard to create. Things, they 180 whenever you go to ads and you put some ad dollars behind it, and you get what's called creative fatigue pretty quickly. And pretty quickly is about 3 weeks. We see content that has ads running towards it do really, really well, and then it just starts to drop off after 3 weeks. And so I think what's happening here is like, on the first example, you have the algorithm, the organic algorithm kind of doing its work and distributing it to new people like TikTok was made to do. On the second scenario, what's happening, you have the ads putting it to the same people that it thinks will buy that product or engage with it, right? So you can start to burn people out really quickly. And if you're a user on TikTok, you've experienced this before, I'm sure. You've seen the ad 10 times in a row and you probably got mad, right? You just said, not interested or whatever, or you left a mean comment. So that's the extreme of it. But that what's happening is it's creative fatigue. You know, you've seen the same ad set 20 times now. It's just not going to work. So to answer your question, whenever you're Spark posting, I would say you can throw that post up. We like to see kind of how they do for a little bit of time. And then based on the ones that perform the best, we Spark post those, and then they go farther. And then we Spark post those until the creative fatigue wears in. Then we start generating more stuff. And then for certain clients, we do recycle some content, maybe 3, 4, 5 months out after. And if it does well again, we consider Spark posting it again. But that time frame, you need a big, long cool off period for that. If that makes sense.
Oh, of course. I love that. And so with recycling the content, would you recommend, if you're republishing the exact same video 6 months later, is it best practice for me to delete the old version of the video? Or can I keep the old version of the video up there, repost it with the exact same description, and see the results just trickle in from there?
Yeah, we've seen it both ways. I say leave it up because the algorithm doesn't seem to mind and it's just out there. There's a cool thing too with TikTok is that there is an SEO factor. TikTok has a search engine kind of built into it. And the lifeblood of your post can last a long time. If you go search something on TikTok and you scroll down, you'll see posts that are 6 months old, but they rank because of the keywords that they're using and the engagement on that post. So I would say don't delete old posts ever, unless you really need to for some specific reason. But if anything, that new post is just going to overtake your last one if it does better on that search functionality side of it. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Let's say ad targeting. If you go into meta ads, you can get ridiculously narrow targeting around your users. With TikTok, do you find that they have similar targeting features? Is it a little more limited and more so they keep it behind closed doors and say, hey, let the algorithm work its magic? How does that work?
So I would say, I won't get too nitty gritty into it, but it seems to be better than what Meta is now. Meta each year progressively kind of gets more limited in what you can do. In the good old days, you could you target anyone based off of anything. TikTok feels a little bit more like that at this stage. Pretty really fine-tuned audience capabilities. So that's something that's very, very cool. And then I will say, whenever it comes to things like creating a lookalike audience, uploading a list or something like that, the match rate that we have on TikTok is almost like 100% at times. Whereas like LinkedIn or Meta or even other platforms, it was like you'd get like a 60% match rate or something like that. So they have some sort of crazy data that they're pulling from, and it's very, very good. You can really, really get nitty gritty with the targeting. It's one of the things I'm most impressed with about the platform.
So before we started recording, you had spoken to me a little about TikTok creative challenges. I'd love if we could talk a little about that. So first of all, what are TikTok creative challenges?
Yeah. All right. So I want to backtrack to what I said before about the creative fatigue. Whenever you create these ads, you're running paid ads to them, and they just stop working. This is a well-known thing that TikTok realized. They do a number of things, but one of the main, most beneficial things that they're doing on the platform right now is coming up with what's called the TikTok Creative Challenge. And I'm saying that now, it actually just got renamed, and I'll talk about that, but it's the same thing, and it's even better. But what the TikTok Creative Challenge is, so you have these reps that work with you if you're spending money, if you're a business or an agency like we are, And so each month they come and they say, okay, here's the advertiser deals this month. You spend $1,000, we're going to give you $300 back in ad credit, or and that scales all the way up. But the even cooler thing is they'll say something like, okay, we have the creative challenge. And so for the next month, if you maintain a spend of at least $2,000 on ads, we're going to help you source and create user-generated content from micro-influencers on the app who are incentivized to make you good content because they get paid based off of how well that content does in your ads. Okay, so that's kind of a lot. But what's happening here is the reps at TikTok have created a system where, if I'm selling like pre-made bottles of coffee, let's say, or canned coffee, if I'm selling canned coffee and I'm spending $2,000 on ads, I can go in, I can set up a creative challenge, and I can say, okay, I am David's Bulletproof Coffee in a can. I'm better in these ways. Here's all the things: American made, organic, gluten-free, whatever. And then I can also say, I want the David Goggins micro influencer. I want the mom, the stay-at-home mom. And then I want the Gen Z kid as my influencers. Well, they're going to help you find these people. These people are going to make content after you send them, a bottle of your coffee or your product. And then you get to review that content and you can request changes or anything like that. But what you're getting out of this is extremely valuable, because now you have 10 videos that you can use per month. You can drive ads to them. And in those videos, you have real micro influencers, real people on the app who have your physical product. They're drinking it in their video. They're saying how great it is. They're telling their following to buy it. And so this is phenomenal. Whenever they first told us about this, we lost our minds, because as an agency, pulling something off like this takes thousands of dollars, hundreds of man hours, and it's just hard. It's hard to deal with influencers. I always call it's like herding cats. They're hard to deal with. They often want more than you think they're worth, and vice versa. It's always just like not as messy. TikTok kind of took over and they made it really, really easy. And the cool thing is that this content actually works. Like I said, these creators, they get paid based off of how well their ads do for you, and they get a percentage of that. So they're incentivized to make really good content. It's very, very trendy in terms of what is actually working on social media right now. I kind of talked about this a little bit before, but people want to see people behind the camera. They want to hear real stories, things like that. And so getting content like that of real people telling them it's good, go buy it, this is great. And then you get to use that on your page. You get to run ads to it. You can even export it and you can use it on other platforms. It's one of the most valuable things any platform has done for advertisers, in my opinion. That's the creative challenge in a nutshell. I know I'm talking a lot here. I like to rant, but the one thing I mentioned, they made it better. And so essentially they've just poured gas on it. And so now you can get up to 10 videos per week instead of a month for maintaining that exact same spend. It's worked so well. They're just amplifying it. And I guess they've got better on their end at the actual sourcing and video creation process through their system. Think about it. $2,000 is the minimum. You're getting now 40 videos for the month, and you can run ads at those. You're going to be paying for the ads anyways, right? You don't have to work with influencers. You don't have to make the content. You don't have to edit it. You don't have to do anything. And you're going to sell tons and tons of products. I mean, come on. It's a no-brainer for most businesses, I would say.
Damn, you've sold me. I hope they're giving you a nice referral check for this podcast.
Oh, that's wrong. Yeah.
Oh, man. And so to clarify, it sounds like within that, you spend $2,000 a month. You ultimately source products for these influencers and then get this collection of, call it up to 40 videos a month that you can then use for ads. That's amazing. Let's hope that they keep the TikTok Creative Challenge. And for context, maybe we'll add in, because you had shared this point with me before, that the creative challenges have changed a little bit over time. So listeners, definitely, it may be the case that when you check this out, call it, a month after we're recording, 2 months after we're recording, we may see slight variance in the numbers. So definitely double check that. But David, to your point, I mean, you guys have been running this for a while and have seen things only get better and better for the creative challenges so far.
Absolutely. I used to really preface this with our clients like, hey, this is a really good thing. It's not going to be around forever. And we knew a change was coming. And a few months ago, they came and they said, hey, we've changed the creative challenge. We all put our head in our hands, and we were tripping out because we're like, no, this is so good. But yeah, they made it better. And the cool thing too is it scales. I think if you spend 5,000, they double the amount of videos you can get, so on and so forth. And then on top of that, they'll give you some ad credit back. So it's extremely good. For now, it's there. And I don't know if it's going anywhere. Don't hold me to that, because it may be gone one day. And this will all be like just a fond memory we had.
Well, awesome. I have one more very broad question. And this comes from a place that in all the time I've known you, you have been one of the people that has been most on top of new technology in my circle. Every single time I talk to you, there's 3 new technologies that you're super excited about. So stepping back, what maybe 1 or 2 digital marketing, let's say super broad, what 1 or 2 digital marketing technologies are you really excited about at this moment?
Everybody's going to say this. I think right at this time, you asked, so it's AI agents. That's kind of what I'm trying to get my fingerprint on, because you can go out and do things in the world for you. And this may not totally apply to all the listeners, but there's agents that are going and they're live streaming on TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. And they're just making tons of money. It's like a constant brand ambassador. So that's something I've been interested in lately, trying to pin down that whole process, the agent creation and the deployment process. Because I think that is going to maybe not be the total future of where social media is going, but for right now, it's definitely a big trending thing that's making people a lot of money. So that's something I'm very interested in, the kind of general technology of the space. Maybe something a little bit more tangible for the audience, right? Because not everybody's going to just create an agent for their plumbing business, right? I think the most beneficial technology out there right now for social media or TikTok or anything like that is it just going to be there's no way you can kind of automate the whole process of social media. If you do, it's not going to be that high quality. And so we don't love a lot of tools and technology for what we do. We don't even schedule our posts, because we found that they do better when you physically post them. Seems like the algorithm knows that a person is posting versus a machine. So we stay away from a lot of that stuff, but we leverage AI and we leverage machine learning and things like that for the research, the planning, and then some of the creation of the content. And I'll give you one idea, right? There's a big part of social media is planning your goals and your campaigns and things like that. And that process is very long, back and forth. Just simply using ChatGPT to talk through your ideas with and plan a very loose roadmap that you can go over with your team, it's going to help you a lot. And that's going to sound so obvious and so kind of dumb to say at this point. We've had clients that are apprehensive to use it because their AI is this, they don't think it's going to be good or whatever, but it'll bring up things you're not thinking about. It'll make you think everything through. And so I would say really leverage AI for the planning, for the roadmap, for the kind of contemplation part of what you're doing. And then leverage tools that can make you better content. So I mentioned CapCut, that piece of technology is life-changing for a lot of people. You could a video that used to cost you $1,000 to make, now you can make it in 5 minutes on your phone. Insane. And I think that technology is kind of overlooked, but I would say the combo of just using the tools like CapCut, planning everything out from a high level, in tasking GPT with seeking answers you may not be totally familiar with, or exploring territory you might think you want to go, but you're not totally sure. Those 2 things in the social media age are probably the most valuable, I would say, at this point.
Dave, this has been enlightening. Let me ask you, for listeners that want to get in touch with you, that want to learn more about Vix, maybe where should they go to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are vixmediagroup.com. We're Vix Media Group on all the platforms, so they can find us on any one of those. And I'll mention, we just started a free Discord. And so people can actually go in there and we give free consultation inside the Discord. So it's pretty awesome. You can hop in there. You can ask any hard question. We'll help you kind of strategize. And we did that because as an agency, we have minimums. And so we would meet with some people. And if they wouldn't be able to afford our minimums, we didn't want to ever leave them empty-handed. And they always left those conversations saying like, wow, guys, I learned so much. This is great. So we just kind of like put that into something that everybody could have access to. And so that's the Discord right now. So hop in the Discord, ask us a question, go check out our offerings on our website. You can schedule a call and speak to me or my partner, Anthony, at any time,
And listeners, check out the show notes. We'll have links to the Vix website. We'll have a link to the Discord channel as well. David, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming on today. Once again, listeners, this is David Casey, one of the co-founders. Yeah, we'll go with co-founders. I know we've talked a lot about job titles and how variable it can be, but we have David Casey, one of the co-founders over at Vix Media Group. David, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, Pat, thanks so much. This is awesome. Hope to do it again.
Thanks for tuning in to Customer Growth Sessions. If you found it helpful, subscribe and give us a review. It helps us to grow the show. Looking for more SEO guidance on how to grow your business? Contact us at intergrowth.com/estimator or email me directly. You can reach me at pat@intergrowth.com. That's all for today. We'll see you again soon.